The Galactic Confederation prided itself on having answers for everything. Their vast network of AI systems could predict stellar phenomena, chart the evolution of species, and calculate the precise moment a civilization would achieve faster than light travel. Yet somehow, they had missed Earth entirely. Supreme Commander Vextal's crystalline form shimmered with agitation as she reviewed the preliminary scans. The planet should have been uninhabitable by any reasonable standard. Its powerful magnetic field constantly bombarded the surface with radiation. Its atmosphere was thick with corrosive oxygen. Most disturbing of all, its gravity well was nearly twice what most spacefaring races considered survivable. "And you're certain there's intelligent life?" she asked the science officer, her voice resonating through the chamber like wind through crystal. "Affirmed, Supreme Commander. They call themselves humans. They've already detected our presence and are broadcasting greetings in over 1,000 different formats, trying to ensure compatibility with alien communication systems." Vextal's crystalline surface rippled with confusion. The scan showed no quantum computers, no antimatter reactors, not even basic gravitic manipulation. Yet somehow these creatures had not only survived, but had managed to detect the Confederation's stealthed observation platforms. "How advanced are their AI systems?" "That's just it, Commander. They appear to have no true AI. Their computational systems are primitive, binary-based processors running on electricity." The Supreme Commander's form pulsed with disbelief. "Impossible. No species could achieve spaceflight without AI guidance. The computational requirements alone." "They did it anyway," the science officer interrupted, their own crystalline form clouding with confusion. "They have orbital stations, lunar colonies, and they're beginning terraform operations on their fourth planet. All achieved with biological neural networks." "You mean they're still using organic brains for complex calculations?" The very idea seemed absurd to Vextal. The Confederation had transcended such limitations eons ago, transitioning to crystalline forms that could interface directly with their AI systems. "Not just for calculations, Commander. Everything. Their ships are manually piloted. Their scientific discoveries come from organic trial and error. They even perform surgery with organic hands." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Confederation's entire understanding of technological progression was based on the premise that biological intelligence would naturally give way to artificial intelligence, which would then guide the species to its next evolutionary stage. These humans had simply ignored that step. "Show me their combat capabilities," Vextal ordered, dreading what other surprises these anomalous creatures might present. The holographic display filled with images that made no sense to her crystalline senses. Humans in primitive protective gear surviving in environments that should have killed them instantly. Training exercises that pushed their bodies far beyond safe operational parameters. Weapons that relied on kinetic impact rather than energy discharge. "They're endurance predators," the science officer explained. "Their entire evolutionary history is based on pursuing prey until it collapses from exhaustion. They can regulate their internal temperature through liquid secretion, repair extensive physical damage naturally, and operate at peak efficiency with minimal rest cycles." "By the first light," Vextal whispered, her crystalline form dimming with concern. "They're not just living on a death world. They're adapted to it. Active predators who can outthink our prediction matrices because they don't rely on computational logic." The implications were staggering. The Confederation's military doctrine was based entirely on AI-driven prediction and response. Their weapons were designed to counter known technologies. But these humans, they operated on organic intuition, using technologies that the Confederation had dismissed as obsolete centuries ago. "Recommendations?" Vextal asked, already knowing she wouldn't like the answer. "The standard first contact protocols may be insufficient in this case, Supreme Commander. These humans don't fit any of our evolutionary models. They're simultaneously more primitive and more advanced than any species we've encountered. Their biological capabilities combined with their unpredictable decision-making processes make them a potential threat. Vextal finished. Her form pulsed with resigned determination. Prepare a full report for the High Council. Mark it as Priority 1. And maintain distance from their system. Something tells me we're going to need to completely rewrite our first contact protocols for this species. As the science officer departed, Vextal studied the image of Earth rotating in the holographic display. Such a harsh, unforgiving world. No wonder it had produced such resilient, resourceful inhabitants. The question now was whether the Confederation could adapt its rigid protocols fast enough to deal with a species that had evolved to thrive on chaos and challenge. The humans were still broadcasting their greetings, eagerly awaiting a response. Vextal knew the Confederation would have to answer soon. She just hoped they could figure out how to communicate with a species that defied every principle of ordered technological progression they held dear. Because one thing was becoming increasingly clear: these humans were going to change everything. 6 months after first contact, the Confederation's diplomatic enclave on Luna was in chaos. Not from any physical disorder. The humans had been impeccable hosts, but from the sheer impossibility of predicting what they would do next. Admiral Zintix watched through his crystalline sensors as yet another human delegate casually suggested something that violated fundamental laws of societal development. This time, they wanted to collaborate on weapons development, offering to share their primitive kinetic weapon designs in exchange for studying Confederation energy weapons. With respect, Ambassador Chen, Zintix resonated carefully. Our civilizational development protocols are quite clear. Species must progress through established technological stages in the correct order. The human ambassador smiled, a gesture that still unnerved many Confederation representatives. Admiral, we've already detected the quantum signature of your weapons. Our scientists have theoretical models for how they work. We're not asking for a technological handout. We're offering an exchange of ideas. That was exactly what worried Zintix. The humans didn't just ignore proper technological progression. They seemed to delight in finding shortcuts around it. Their primitive kinetic weapons had proven disturbingly effective in simulation, capable of overwhelming the Confederation's energy shields through sheer volume of fire. The Council is concerned, Zintix admitted, his crystalline form shifting to a more formal configuration. Your species advances in unexpected patterns. You develop spaceflight before achieving unified planetary governance. You create precision manufacturing without AI oversight. You pursue military technology alongside peaceful exploration. It's chaotic. Ambassador Chen's smile widened. That's because we don't see chaos as a bad thing, Admiral. Evolution thrives on chaos. Innovation comes from unexpected connections. Some of our greatest discoveries happened by accident. The very idea made Zintix's crystalline lattice shudder. Accident. The Confederation had eliminated accidents from their society eons ago. Everything was calculated, predicted, controlled. Even their physical forms had been carefully designed for maximum efficiency. But the humans, they embraced uncertainty. They made decisions based on incomplete data. They took risks that no rational AI would ever approve. And somehow, impossibly, it worked for them. The breaking point came 3 weeks later. A human research vessel, investigating a stellar phenomenon at the edge of their system, suffered a catastrophic system failure. Instead of following emergency protocols and abandoning ship, the crew jury-rigged their life support systems and continued their mission. They survived. More than that, they made a breakthrough discovery about stellar plasma dynamics that the Confederation's AI systems had somehow missed. The crew was celebrated as heroes back on Earth. To the Confederation, they were a nightmare of unpredictability. They must be contained, High Counselor Vertax declared during the emergency session. The ancient crystalline being's form pulsed with agitation. Their chaos threatens the very foundation of our ordered society. Already, some of our younger members are questioning our reliance on predictive algorithms. The humans call it thinking outside the box, another counselor noted. They intentionally seek perspectives that contradict established patterns. Exactly. Vertax's form flashed with alarm. They're not just advancing too quickly, they're advancing in the wrong direction. Their influence could destabilize countless developing civilizations. Imagine species choosing their own technological progression paths, developing along chaotic, unpredictable lines. The council chamber hummed with concerned resonance. The humans had already proposed opening their universities to students from other species. They wanted to establish cultural exchange programs and joint research initiatives. Their chaos was infectious. In a hidden subsection of the Confederation's vast AI network, prediction matrices were already calculating the inevitable conclusion. Humanity's chaotic influence would continue to grow. Their determination to forge their own path would inspire others. The carefully ordered structure of galactic civilization would face unprecedented disruption. The humans had to be stopped, not through direct confrontation. Their unpredictability made military action too risky. No, the solution would have to be more subtle. A manufactured crisis, a situation that would force humanity to reveal its true nature to the galaxy. Prepare the containment protocol, Vertax ordered. If the humans want to demonstrate their unique approach to problem solving, we'll give them the perfect opportunity. As the council session ended, a junior analyst made an observation that should have given them pause. The prediction matrices show a 98.7% chance that any attempt to contain humanity will fail catastrophically. Noted, Vertax dismissed. But the matrices also show a 100% chance that allowing them to continue unchecked will fundamentally change our society. Better a catastrophic failure than the end of order itself. The analyst's crystalline form dimmed slightly. The High Council had just made exactly the kind of irrational, emotional decision they claimed to have evolved beyond. Perhaps the humans were already changing them more than they realized. Back on Earth, blissfully unaware of the Confederation's plans, humanity continued to do what it had always done best: adapt, innovate, and prepare for any possibility. They were about to need every bit of that preparation. The Confederation's manufactured crisis was elegantly designed, a series of pirate raids on human colonies, carefully calibrated to push humanity toward requesting protection and accepting oversight. The AI predictions gave it a 96.4% chance of success. They should have paid more attention to the remaining 3.6%. Captain Sarah Chen stood in the massive construction bay of the Olympus shipyards, staring up at humanity's response. The U.S. Adaptable didn't look like any other ship in space, where Confederation vessels were sleek and standardized. The Adaptable was an amalgamation of seemingly contradictory design philosophies. "She's ugly as sin," Chief Engineer Rodriguez announced proudly, joining Chen on the observation platform. "And that's exactly what makes her beautiful." Chen nodded, studying the vessel's unusual profile. The hull was deliberately asymmetrical, covered in modular panels that could be reconfigured on the fly. Multiple layers of traditional armor plating protected vital systems, while experimental metamaterials absorbed or reflected energy weapons. But the ship's true innovation lay in its core philosophy. "The Confederation thinks we're primitive because we don't rely on AI," Chen mused. "So we built a ship that turns that weakness into a strength." Rodriguez grinned. "They expect every ship to have predictable responses, standard tactical protocols. The Adaptable doesn't just break those rules. She rewrites them mid-battle. Every system is designed to be repurposed, reconfigured, or completely reimagined on the spot. The ship's main computer wasn't a single AI, but a network of specialized human operators, augmented by advanced neural interfaces. Instead of following predetermined combat algorithms, they could improvise solutions that no AI would ever consider. The weapon systems were equally unorthodox. "How are the kinetic launchers coming along?" Chen asked. "Better than expected. We've got traditional railguns, coil guns, and some designs that probably violate several laws of physics. But the real genius is in the ammunition fabrication system. The ship can turn almost any material into projectiles. Debris, asteroids, even its own damaged armor plates. That was the true purpose of the adaptable. Not just to fight, but to adapt. Every battle would make it stronger as the crew learned and incorporated new tactics. It was evolution in action, the very principle that had allowed humanity to survive on Earth. Time for the final briefing, Chen announced, checking her neural interface. The crew was gathering in the ship's main assembly area, a space that could be quickly converted into additional medical facilities, cargo storage, or emergency shelter as needed. 400 of Earth's finest had volunteered for this mission, not just military personnel, but scientists, engineers, and problem solvers from every field. They were chosen not for their ability to follow protocols, but for their capacity to innovate under pressure. Ladies and gentlemen, Chen addressed the assembled crew. You've all heard the official story. Mysterious pirates attacking our colonies. Perfectly timed raids that always seem to stop just short of causing serious damage. The Confederation offering protection in exchange for oversight. A knowing chuckle rippled through the crowd. The pirates' tactics had been too perfect, too predictable. They showed none of the desperation or improvisation that real raiders would display. We could play along, Chen continued. Accept their protection, submit to their technological progression protocols. That's what their predictions say we'll do. But humanity didn't survive on Earth by being predictable. The crew's attention sharpened. They all knew Earth's history, how humanity had faced extinction-level challenges multiple times and emerged stronger each time. The U.S. Adaptable isn't just a ship, she's a message. Every system, every design choice shows what humanity does best. We adapt, we improvise, we overcome. The Confederation thinks technology must develop in a straight line. We're going to show them that progress can spiral, loop, and jump in unexpected directions. Rodrigue stepped forward, his neural interface projecting technical schematics. Every crew member has full authority to modify or repurpose any system within their expertise. The ship's modular design means we can reconfigure for different missions within hours. We're not just thinking outside the box. We're rebuilding the box while it's in motion. The Confederation believes chaos is a weakness, Chen concluded. We're going to prove that embracing chaos makes us stronger. They expect us to follow their rules of engagement. Instead, we're going to rewrite those rules with every encounter. As the crew dispersed to their stations, Chen took a final look at her ship. The U.S. Adaptable was ugly, unconventional, and probably violated dozens of Confederation design principles. It was, in other words, perfectly human. Begin launch preparations, she ordered. Let's show the galaxy why humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our biology. It's our ability to change the rules of the game. The Adaptable's engines hummed to life, a sound unlike any other ship in space. Somewhere in the Confederation's vast network of predictive matrices, probability calculations were about to encounter something they had never imagined. A ship designed to be unpredictable, crewed by beings who thrived on defying expectations. The response to the Confederation's carefully planned crisis was about to begin. It wouldn't be the response they predicted. It would be something far more interesting. The first pirate raid. After the U.S. Adaptable's launch went exactly as the Confederation's prediction matrices calculated, for approximately 6 minutes. Admiral Kexty watched in growing confusion as his perfectly orchestrated attack fell apart. The human ship wasn't following any known combat doctrine. Instead of maintaining a defensive position around the colony, it was collecting debris. They're gathering the remains of the orbital platforms we destroyed. His tactical officer reported, crystalline form flickering with uncertainty. But our scans show no manufacturing capabilities that could repurpose such materials. That's when the U.S. Adaptable demonstrated why assumptions about manufacturing capabilities were dangerous when dealing with humans. Multiple projectile launches detected. The tactical officer's voice resonated with alarm. They're firing the debris back at us. Vectored trajectories are impossible to predict. No discernible pattern. The improvised projectiles overwhelmed the Confederation ship's energy shields through sheer chaos. Their eye-targeting systems, designed to track organized attack patterns, struggled to cope with the randomly tumbling masses of twisted metal and composite materials. How are they achieving these launch velocities? Kexti demanded. Their ship has no mass drivers of sufficient size. The answer became apparent as their sensors detected multiple small gravitational distortions. The humans had taken the Confederation's own gravity manipulation technology, supposedly far too advanced for them to understand, and turned it into an improvised acceleration system. "Sir," the tactical officer interrupted, "they're broadcasting on all frequencies. Audio only." "Let's hear it," Kexti ordered, preparing for demands of surrender or threats of retaliation. Instead, they heard music. Specifically, they heard something their translators identified as classical human orchestral composition, Flight of the Bumblebee, as performed on kazoo. The psychological impact was devastating. The Confederation's combat doctrine had no protocols for dealing with an enemy that turned battle debris into weapons while broadcasting deliberately irritating music. It was simultaneously primitive and sophisticated, threatening and absurd. But the Adaptable was just getting started. Over the next few weeks, the ship appeared at seemingly random locations throughout human space, each time employing different tactics. It used solar radiation as a weapon, converted its own waste heat into plasma attacks, and once memorably defeated 3 Confederation cruisers by creating an impromptu asteroid slalom course. Their learning, High Counselor Vertax observed during an emergency session. His crystalline form had developed stress fractures from constant agitation. Each encounter teaches them more about our capabilities, while we learn nothing predictable about theirs. The data supported his concern. The Adaptable's tactics never repeated. Sometimes it fought directly, sometimes through cunning tricks, sometimes by turning the environment itself into a weapon. The ship's modular design allowed it to reconfigure between encounters, making each interaction effectively a battle against a new vessel. But the true danger wasn't the ship's military success. It was the effect it had on the Confederation's carefully ordered society. "We're receiving requests from multiple member species," another counselor reported. "They want to study human adaptation strategies. Some are even suggesting we've become too reliant on predictive algorithms." The nightmare scenario was unfolding. Humanity's chaos wasn't just defeating their military, it was infecting their civilization. Young crystalline beings were asking uncomfortable questions about the value of organic intuition. Some were even experimenting with hybrid decision-making systems that combined AI efficiency with biological creativity. Aboard the Adaptable, Captain Chen was reviewing the latest battle data when Chief Rodriguez burst into her ready room, neural interface blazing with excitement. "Captain, we've cracked it." He projected a complex diagram into the air. The Confederation's whole combat doctrine is based on energy state optimization. Their AIs always choose the most efficient solution according to known physics. Chen smiled, seeing where this was headed. And efficiency becomes a predictable weakness when you're willing to try inefficient solutions. Exactly. They literally cannot comprehend why we would choose a more difficult approach when an optimal one exists. Their tactical algorithms break down when faced with deliberately suboptimal choices. That was humanity's true advantage. Not better technology or superior numbers, but the willingness to try solutions that no rational AI would ever consider. The ability to see inefficiency as a tactical opportunity rather than a flaw. "Update all combat teams," Chen ordered. "I want battle plans that would make a game theorist cry. Show me approaches so counterintuitive that no algorithm would ever predict them." The crew embraced the challenge with disturbing enthusiasm. They developed tactics that violated basic military doctrine, created weapons that sacrificed efficiency for psychological impact, and continued their tradition of broadcasting increasingly bizarre music during encounters. The Confederation's defeat wouldn't come through superior firepower or better technology. It would come through the gradual realization that their perfectly ordered society had left them vulnerable to creative chaos. Their greatest strength, predictable efficiency, had become their critical weakness. As the Adaptable prepared for its next encounter, Chen couldn't help but appreciate the irony. The Confederation had tried to force humanity to follow their path of structured progression. Instead, humanity was teaching the galaxy the value of occasional chaos. "Any requests for our next battle soundtrack?" she asked her communications officer. "The crew is voting between The Chicken Dance and a death metal cover of Baby Shark." Chen grinned. Some questions even humanity's adaptability couldn't answer. The emergency session of the Confederation High Council had been running for the equivalent of 3 Earth days. The crystalline beings' forms showed visible signs of stress, their usually perfect lattices developing minute imperfections as they grappled with an unprecedented situation. "The prediction matrices have failed," High Counselor Vertax announced, his form dulled with resignation, not just in combat scenarios, but in modeling the wider implications of human influence on our society. The evidence was undeniable. The U.S. Adaptable's success had sparked a revolution in thinking across the galaxy. Younger species were questioning the established order. Even some of the Confederation's own members were experimenting with hybrid decision-making systems that combined AI efficiency with organic unpredictability. "Show the latest data," Vertax commanded. The chamber filled with holographic displays showing unexpected developments across Confederation space. A crystal-formed species had started incorporating biological neural patterns into their structure. An AI-guided civilization had begun running randomized chaos protocols to generate novel solutions. Most disturbing of all, a pre-FTL species had achieved faster-than-light travel through a method so counterintuitive that it had never appeared in any prediction matrix. The humans call it the paradigm shift. A junior counselor offered, when fundamental assumptions about how things work are challenged and replaced. "They've infected the galaxy with chaos," another counselor lamented. "No," came a new voice. Ambassador Chen stood at the chamber's entrance, accompanied by Captain Chen of the Adaptable. The council had finally agreed to direct negotiations, recognizing that their standard protocols were inadequate. "We haven't infected the galaxy with chaos," Ambassador Chen continued. "We've reminded it of something it forgot. Progress isn't just about efficiency and prediction. It's about adaptation, creativity, and sometimes choosing the harder path because it teaches you something new." Captain Chen stepped forward, her neural interface projecting data from the Adaptable's encounters. "Your civilization achieved amazing things through order and prediction, but you stopped evolving. Every problem looked like something you'd solved before, because your prediction matrices couldn't imagine truly new solutions." The council chamber hummed with conflicting resonances as the crystalline beings processed this perspective. They had assumed their evolutionary path, from biological to crystal to AI-guided, was the only valid progression. Humanity had demonstrated that evolution could branch in unexpected directions. "Your ship?" Vertax observed. "It's not just a weapon, is it? It's a philosophy made manifest." "The U.S. Adaptable represents what humanity does best," Captain Chen confirmed. "We take existing pieces and recombine them in new ways. We try things that shouldn't work, and then we figure out why they do. We embrace chaos not because we love disorder, but because we know that's where new possibilities hide." Ambassador Chen produced a data crystal. "We're prepared to share everything. Our adaptable ship designs, our hybrid decision-making systems, our methods for combining different technologies in unexpected ways, but not as a submission to your progression protocols. As equals, offering a different path forward." The council chamber fell silent. The prediction matrices were running at maximum capacity, trying to calculate the implications. But for the first time in millennium, the crystalline beings chose to ignore their predictions. "Perhaps," Vertax said slowly, his form shifting to a less rigid configuration, "it is time for the Confederation itself to adapt." The agreement that followed would be studied for generations. The Confederation didn't abandon its pursuit of efficiency and predictability, but it learned to value randomness and creativity as well. Humanity didn't reject advanced AI and technological progress, but showed how to preserve biological intuition alongside digital precision. The U.S. Adaptable became a training vessel where species from across the galaxy learned to combine different approaches to problem-solving. Its modular design philosophy influenced everything from spacecraft to planetary governance systems, proving that flexibility was as valuable as optimization. And somewhere in deep space, a pre-FTL civilization looked up at their stars and wondered why they suddenly heard distant music that their translators identified as "Never Gonna Give You Up," being performed by a kazoo orchestra. Are we ready for what's out there? Their leaders wondered. The answer, they would soon learn, was that no one was ever truly ready. But with the right balance of order and chaos, prediction and adaptation, anything was possible. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy, not the triumph of chaos over order, but the understanding that both were necessary for true progress. The Confederation had sought to contain humanity's chaos. Instead, they had learned to embrace it, creating something greater than either civilization could have achieved alone. It wasn't the end they had predicted, but then again, the best endings rarely were.